Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. We're doing Table Enabled Hilchos Tefillah Siman Kuf Tet 109. Dina Echis Noig Ahayakid Lechavim B'Tfilasim Atzibur. Sounds like how you should have kavana with the tzibur while you're davening with the tzibur. The halachas here are a little perplexing. In fact, this halacha, when I read this halacha, all the other halachas I accepted by myself as much as I could. This halacha, I said, I can't accept this halacha. I can't live like this halacha. It makes no sense to me. I can't keep this halacha. I just gave up before I even, after I read the halacha, I said, I just can't keep it. Nothing I can do. It'll be impossible. It'll make me crazy. I'll go out of my mind. I got to, this was when I was in the mirror, and I eventually transferred to Rav Yaakov Freeman's yeshiva. I asked him, is kuftet, Simon kuftet, literal? He said, yeah. I still didn't believe him. I still couldn't follow his halacha, because this halacha, if you follow it, will literally drive you crazy. I will explain it in its simplest form, and then I'll explain Ian Talina what I think the pshat of this Gemara. It's a Gemara, so you have to understand it somehow. Let's read the words of the Shulchan Aruch. Aleph, Hanichnas beis hakneses humatzah tzibur mispalim. You go into a shul, you're davening with a tzibur, as most people try to daven with a minyan. And yachol is the haska v'ligmar kodim shegiach shtech tzibur lekadusha o lekadish. Now, this is not talking about the same tefillah. Kedusha is talking about Shachar and Mincha. Kaddish is talking about, there's no Kedusha on Marav. There's no Chazaras HaShas, but Kaddish after Shemon Esrei is talking about Yispalo. V'hu adin, and Ramah Etzin, Amein, the Kela Kaddish, Shemei Tefillah, Dina Ke Kaddish or Kedusha. And also the Mishnah adds in, we'll see, Modim, actually, let's continue. V'mlav al Yispalo, Limena Shal Veris. If you can't make it to these things, meaning join the Chazan during the recitation of Kaddish, Kedusha, the Amen after Akel HaKadosh and Chazar HaShas, and the Amen of Shemei Tefillah, unless the Shah is Alveris, which is an addition by the Smak, you shouldn't daven. And usually when I was in yeshiva, there's many minyanim, no Shah Alveris, I didn't have to go to work. If you started Shemona Esrei after Kedusha, so Shulchan Aruch adds in a fifth thing, which is from the Tosfos, that Modim is also included. Now, basically, what this means is that, let's say you're in Shachris and Mincha, and you're davening with the tzibur, right? And you're a little slow, so you're saying Kriya Shema, and they started Shemona Esrei. Now, you take a long time for Shemona Esrei, so you start a little bit after them. They might, the Chazan might have started Chazar Hashas. It might get up to Kaddish, to Kedusha. I'm sorry, or Akel HaKadosh. And you're stuck because you have to be with him, and you're not going to be able to answer Kedusha with him. You're not able to answer Kedusha with him. So you're not allowed to start your Shemona Esrei in that case. You're not allowed to start your Shemona Esrei in this case, which is very prevalent. Especially if you go, this halacha is really hard when you go to places where the minyanim are very quick, right? Fine. So you're in a yeshiva, they daven Shemona Esrei for 10 minutes. So, I could daven Shemona Esrei in 7 minutes. I'm a little behind. You come to shul late, you're trying to catch up, Shachris, Mincha, you're trying to catch up. I'll finish my Shemona Esrei before the Chazan starts Chazaras HaShatz. However, you go to Young Israel, and they daven Shemona Esrei in 3 minutes, there is no chance. You're davening, you come, and I was a yeshiva guy, I'm home for Pesach, or I'm home during Ben Azmanim, and I'm trying to catch up even, Psuki the Zimmer. I'm still in Psuki the Zimmer when they're starting Shemona Esrei. There's no chance. I can't daven Shemona Esrei. I can't possibly make Tefillah B'Tzibur, and to me it was very important to be Tefillah B'Tzibur, at least daven my Shemona Esrei while the Tzibur was davening part of their Shemona Esrei. It would be impossible to keep this halacha, because you're not going to finish your Shemona Esrei by the time they start Chazar HaShas, by the time they get up to Kedusha. Let's continue the Mechaber. Who adinam yachal akia lemodim al achas me'abracha shochem me'akshagia l'stel lemodim yispal. However, if it's just a matter of modim, for example, right, you already said Kedusha, and then you want to start Shemona Esrei, and you think that you can get up to, even when they're saying Modim, at least you'll align it when you're saying, when you're bowing during the first bracha, right? First bracha you start. While they're saying Modim, so you bow down at the same time, because you're not supposed to look like you're kofar what the tzibur is doing. You're not supposed to go against what the tzibur is doing. The tzibur is bowing down to Hashem. It doesn't look good if you're not able to bow down to Hashem. If you have to start Shemona Esrei because you just finished, right? You finished the bracha of Gal Yisrael, and now you have to be Samach Gula Tefillah. And his Daman Losh Magiyash Te'asir Modim, If it happens b'di'evet that you started your tefillah and now he's up to modim, so you should bow down even in the middle of a bracha, even when you're not supposed to bow down in Shema Esrei, because you don't want to be kofar what the tzibur is doing. They're all bowing down to Hashem. You're not. However, if you're in the beginning of a bracha, the end of a bracha, then it's also to do it because Chazal said there's only 4 times that you bow down during Shemona Esrei, and they specifically asked during the beginning of the bracha and end of the bracha, because Yom Kippur, technically you could bow down in the middle of the brachas. You just have to straighten yourself up for the beginning of the brachas and the end of the brachas, where the 4 places that they're masaking that you bow down during tefillah. The reason this halakha is so hard to keep is, I've explained many times, that a lot of times you daven in fast-paced minyanim, and you want to daven tefillah b'tzibur. Like, to me, like, I think I was like most people, that tefillah b'tzibur is like the highest thing, and you have to daven Shema Esrei with a tzibur. I was very makbid to make sure that I davened with a minyan. Otherwise, it wouldn't be with a minyan, and I would run to a different minyan. If I wasn't Yosei tefillah b'tzibur with one minyan, I would say, okay, I lost out of this minyan. I have to wait till the next minyan. Because makbid myself. So I always I was very careful about davening tefillah b'tzibur with a minyan. So it made me very nervous all the time, because I couldn't start my Shemona Esrei a lot of times, because I wasn't going to be able to make it to the Kedusha or the Kel HaKadosh or the Shemaya Tefillah or the Kaddish and Maru of the Shliach Tzibur, and it would be very stressful for me every minyan. So I just couldn't keep this halacha, but I'm going to explain it in a way that I think makes a lot more sense, based on what the first Mishnah Berurah, which I must have missed, or I must have just glossed over. Let's continue with Beis, the second halacha. Maskal ispal im shliach tzibur, kshagia im shliach tzibur lechanak dishacha, yomer imo milad mamila, kol kedusha kmo shu omer. Right? If you started, we're going to find out you're not supposed to do this. Although, technically, I was doing this up until now. I thought this was l'chadchila, but I guess not. But the Eved, right? You want to dive into a b'tzibur. They're about to start. The shliach tzibur about to start. It's great. I'll start with him. Right? So what do? If you start with him, so you should say word by word till you get to till kedusha, and say the kedusha like you're the shliach tzibur. You say the words the shliach tzibur says, right? Including the end, the dor v'dor. You say. And if you can finish your Shemona Esrei before you get to Shemaya Tefillah, then you could. But if you can't, so then daven mila b'mila until you get to Shemaya Tefillah. He should also arrive at modim at the same time. So you should be able to bow down when the tzibur is bowing down. The Rama says you shouldn't do this practice. You should wait till the Shliach Tzibur says Kaddish and Akel HaKadosh. I guess Kaddish at Marav, right? And Akel HaKadosh. Elishim Hutzrach Lahatchil Mikol Shashal Veres Akdeis Makulo Tefillah Dina Haki. It's only b'di'evet if you already finished Gal Yisrael and now you have to start, or you have to go to work. So in those cases, then you could do Mila b'Mila with the Chazan. Otherwise, you should wait till he finishes Marav Kaddish after Shemona Esrei, or the Kedusha during Shachar and Mincha. Gimel Yachad Omer V'Tefillah K'Shiyeh L'Makom Kedusha Haya Tzibur Omrim Kedusha the Sidra. Let's say he's davening Shemona Esrei, and they're saying Kedusha the Sidra, meaning in either the Berchos Kriya Shema Kadosh Kadosh Kadosh, or in Noval Tzion. Ain't Omer Kadosh Shemam. You don't answer with them. Sheina Kedusha Shavos. So you're not part of the Tzibur with that. V'Nira Dehu Adinim Haya B'Tzibur Omrim Keser Shein Omer Imam Kadosh. If they're saying Keser, which is the precursor, we'd say Na'arischa, right? You don't say Kadosh. Al Yishlag Yichavin L'Masha Omrim D'Shamea Ka'ona. You shouldn't say Kadosh while they're saying Na'arischa, because that's not the same thing. Hagav Yisharim Kedushas Keser Dahanim Kedushas Musa V'Yachim Mispal Shachris Yuchal Lomar Imam D'Shnei Kedushas Shemona Esrei Kedushas on Shav V'Chinir L'Ikr. The Rama adds in that if they're davening Musaf, you're davening Shachris, and they're up to Kedusha of Musaf, and you're in Kedusha of Shachris, then you could answer along with them, because it's the same Kedusha. It's just one's Musaf, one's Shachris, so you're not making a hefsek in your tefillah. That's the conclusion of this siman. I will talk more about how to avoid getting yourself into problems, the problems that I was very nervous about many years ago, and what really is going on in this halacha. It's a straight up Gemara, right? A lot of the Shulchan Aruch is not from the Gemara, but the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch is exactly from the Gemara. I will read those words of the Gemara and explain it to you the way I think the Gemara is intended to be understood. Stay tuned for Ian to lean on coming up next.